President Trump hitting Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs on imports to the United States. Canada responded with 25% tariffs on about $20 billion worth of U.S. imports and more than $80 billion additional dollars worth of imported goods in about 3 weeks if the new U.S. tariffs are still in place. Joining us now, David McKay, President and CEO of Royal Bank of Canada, which has $982 billion in assets under management. What's your S&P target? That's not why you're here, is it?
No, it's not why you're here.
Do you know what your analysts are thinking? Do we talk about that?
Well, it's all up in the air right now based on what's going on in the geopolitical world.
What do you think is the rationale? And the stated reasons for this with Canada? You were talking off camera how obviously Canada is very close to the United States in terms of trade, friendship, history, and everything else. Do you think it's fentanyl? Do you buy that? That it has to do with that? That seemed like a talking point.
To your point, fentanyl is an issue on both sides of the border. And there's some borders where, on per capita basis, more Canadians are dying from fentanyl. So it is absolutely an issue on both sides of the border, and we've got to do everything we can, whether it's in the financial services sector, on anti-money laundering, or just at the border, making sure it doesn't cross. And I think Canada's done a good job in responding to that, as has Mexico. But I think the bigger issue here is trade, obviously. And the president signaled a U.S. that wants to be a little more isolationist, it feels, and they make more in America. And I think, to me, that just runs contrary to what 100 years of success in America is: the multilateralism, the trade, leveraging the strengths around itself, and that draws capital into the U.S. as the kind of the center of innovation and center of capital. So this playbook that we're running, we haven't run before, and I think it's risky for sure, and the markets are reacting that way.
I mean, we have had NAFTA, we've had a renegotiated NAFTA under USMCA, so there are things around the edges that maybe aren't perfect. Otherwise, we wouldn't need these trade deals to even things out. Do you think Canada at this point does anything unfair in terms of trade and tariffs prior to what we're seeing right now that would cause President Trump to look up and say, I don't like this, whether it's dairy or lumber or what's the most egregious things do you think?
Well, let's start with the facts that the balance of the trade agreement is $400 billion go back and forth each way each year. Almost $500 billion. So trade is balanced, and therefore that's the most important message. There's not one side, whereas the deficit that America sees with Mexico or China, trade is balanced, and that's the most important. In every trade agreement,
what's he talking about?
Some winners, some losers. But when you start with balanced trade, it's good for both sides.
When he says we're subsidizing Canada to the tune of $200 billion every year, what number is he referring to? There's not an imbalance?
We don't know. Trade is balanced between the two countries at the end of the day. So, and trade deficit's not a subsidization as it is, because there's benefits that accrue each way. You can take that excess capital and reinvest it in another part of your economy if you're not making that specific item. So it's the uncertainty, Joe, that this creates, right?
What does he want? What could Canada do? What could Canada do other than the fentanyl? What do you think he wants to hear from Canada that I don't know? They're going to move some factories in Canada down into the United States, or
it's not Canada's choice to do that. It's
no, Canada supplies 25% of the oil consumption in the United States, 25% of the uranium consumption. As we think about electrifying our economy and growing, you've got to rely on your most trusted partners like Canada to supply you with it. It's too inflationary. It's too expensive to create that. And yesterday, I just had a discussion with a global mining CEO in Asia. And we talked about the tariffs and whether he would put long-term capital based on the tariffs. He said, I can't make a 15-year decision on the basis of potentially tariffs for 4 years. So when you think about even trying to attract capital in to build smelters, to build these capabilities, whatever sector it happens to be in, that is not a proven strategy as well. So what do I think Canada can do here? We can renegotiate the parts of the USMCA that aren't working, whether it's dairy or other small, they're tweaks to the overall. When you're in balance, you're not going to make material change, but certainly I think the country's open to looking at it both ways and trying to see if there's a way to improve it. Certainly willing to accelerate that on the scale we talked about.
There are long-term decisions that are going to have to be made. And I guess I wonder, from Canada's perspective, seeing the U.S. as a long-term ally and good friend, where you have been sending us so much of our oil, You all haven't done things like build pipelines so that you could send it elsewhere. Is that changing at this point? Is that a long-term funding that you think Canada is going to put toward?
Great question. So in the category of let's not let a crisis go to waste. So Canada hasn't been able to do some of the bigger investment projects, get them approved through our processes, and we are determined to do that. So this is a wake-up call for the country. We are not going to let this crisis go to waste. So one option for us and one opportunity is interprovincial trade barriers. Within our own provinces, we have barriers to trade. We're going to get rid of that. That's $200 billion of economic growth for us. We have to get more pipelines to the West Coast, to Asia. Our LNG is needed there. We just completed TMX, and a lot of that is actually going into U.S. refineries, but that can also go to Asia. So there's other markets for our uranium, our rare earth minerals, our LNG, our oil, our potash. Like just significant investments in potash. 25% of that potash is consumed by U.S. farmers. At the end of the day, if you're going to grow more food, you're going to need that potash. You can't do it all yourself. So you need partners. And I think that's what's made America great over the last 100 years, is building these multilateral partnerships around the world. That's allowed you to focus on what you do best and let us provide resources, content, tech, whatever we happen to sell to the U.S. I think there's a reason for it at the end of the day. There's a reason Americans reach into Canada.
I think Trump thinks that Trudeau is too woke, too. I think it just makes him mad. And what's going to happen in terms of his way out. I know, his popularity is not great north of the border either at this point, is it?
Well, we're going through an election process now. So the Democratic process will take its form. We're going to elect a new leader of the Liberal Party. They'll immediately become prime minister, and then we expect them to call an election sometime within the next 6 months, but maybe as soon as a couple of weeks from now. And we'll go through that democratic process, and we'll choose a new leader for the country. And we'll have to move these policies forward to really prosper in the long term. And there's so much that Canada has: resources, great universities, great people, access to market, free trade agreements with multiple countries, not just the U.S., Asia, Europe. So as we think about this, is an opportunity for Canada to diversify what it does really, really well. So we will find new markets for our products, but we still view America as our closest partner. There's so much we can do together. I think we're stronger together. We've proven that for 100 years. That model works. And I don't think we should disrupt that.